Welcome, my heart to yours. So wonderful as always to be with you. I do hope you are all enjoying spring, and those of you on the other side of the world, hope you're enjoying fall. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, well, right now we're in the midst of Mercury in retrograde, and I hear that with this Mercury, we are given an opportunity to look again at our life, to try to finish something that was once unfinished, to face something again that perhaps we kind of struck out at. And so as we journey into Mercury, I encourage us all to have a real positive outlook and attitude toward this astrological time of year. So it's easy from an egoic place to see things, just from a perspective of, well, how does it impact me? How will this hurt me or harm me? What will I get from this? But there's, just notice that there's a lot of astrologers right now that are they're speaking about kind of having a new mindset with Mercury, looking and seeing if there's a way we can meet life again. And this is what the spiritual path is about. This is what the path is about, is looking again, trying again, beginning again. This is what it means to have beginner's mind, a humble mind. And so before I forget, I'm going to remind you all to make sure you sign up for the retreat, May 12th through the 14th, 2023. And we have an in-person retreat this summer. And I'd love it if you could join. Retreats are absolutely a powerful time to come together and to look at our life and ask ourselves, what is my life about? What is true? What is true? Of course, this retreat, we are investigating what it means to be spiritually awake. What does it mean to be awake? Most of us, we know what it means to live in our egoic nature, but what does it mean to be awake? To see life clearly, not through the lens of samsara, but to see life clearly. And so I'm going to invite you all to join me right now. You can close your eyes, and I want you to bring your awareness into your heart. Breathing into your heart. Connecting with the space of the heart. Now, for some of you, that's quite easy. And for others, you may notice like some heaviness or denseness. And if that's you, I'm going to invite you just to look almost like a tender point, a soft spot. The surface of the chest, the heart chakra area. And just using this as a tantric doorway. Maybe there's a point of intense feeling, or softness, tenderness. Sometimes it can even feel like a little bit of sadness. Can you open through that doorway, the heart? For some, it can feel like almost just like a real quiet, innocent, exquisite space of tenderness. And again, can you walk through that doorway and journey inward? And I want you to imagine journeying inward all the way to the spine. We're going deep inside. You may discover this immense quietude, especially if you go way back in the heart. You may even feel like you're going behind the heart chakra, the secret, the heart cavern. And in this space, you may start to feel a timelessness, a depth of being, and an indestructible purity. And so whatever you're feeling, I'm going to invite you just to breathe more and more deeply, feeling and journeying deep into the heart space. In this space, it may feel like a deep home, completeness. It's almost like beyond unity. By that I mean it can feel as if you are all of life. And so breathing and feeling, getting comfortable here in this depth of being. Inviting this realm of innocence, this realm of purity, to help the muscles of the face relax, behind the eyes, the jaw, the throat, the shoulders, the back. More and more as you descend deeper and deeper into this cavern of the heart, you notice the body radically relaxing, letting go. It's like with each breath, the body is unloading karma, heaviness, weight, fear, exhaustion, panic. It's just being released, emptied out of you on the exhale. And so again, with each breath, we're softening, melting, opening. Letting go of the solar plexus, hara, pelvis. The legs and the feet and the arms and the hand, this depth of being. It's like you don't have to relax. Relaxation is a natural byproduct. Of going inward in such a deep and profound way. And so as you open further, the space of the heart. I invite you just to picture, just to imagine. Almost as if there was a 10,000 petaled lotus flower there. Absolutely pure. The color I'm seeing is white, but flower may be gold or green, red. Just feel into your truth. Deep purity. And from this space, absolute depth, purity, I invite you just to gently reflect on the places your human self clings to, fights with, holds on, struggles against. Just ask, I'll ask you from a place of inquiry, what's here in your human self that you're willing to let go of? What's here that you're willing to surrender back to life? Maybe some things that jump out at you. You may have some angst or some resentment, even if it's just a little bit of that. Are you willing to give that back to life? Or when in the space of this purity, like this purity doesn't want to carry anything, anything impure, unwholesome, untrue. So are you willing to give up any anger, any angst, any resentment, any frustration with mother, father, sister, brother, other fellow human beings? Are you willing on the exhale just to let go and give it back to God, give it back to life? And so what is it within you? Any aspects of aggression? That you're willing to surrender in this space and just to let it die, let it dissolve, let it release, let it be composted. So that energy may be freed up. That space may be freed up and the purity can expand within you. And so as you feel, as you breathe, as you surrender, do you have any fear within you? Fear often has to do with not trusting in the will of God. And so if you notice, you relax and let go into this immense space, of purity, you let go into this being, the 10,000 petaled lotus, deep in the heart. You may notice his heart does not fear. It does not fear. So are you willing to wake up, to live in the truth of your being? The truth of your being. The truth that this purity is incorruptible. This light is inextinguishable. This brilliance that you are is undefilable. Nothing in life has harmed you, or can, or could, or can harm you. Nothing in life has harmed you. I want you to see in this purity, isn't this the case? That this purity that you are, despite any sickness, any anger, any being attacked by life, being beat up by life, by being beat down by life, can you see that this purity has never been harmed? Your ego, sure. Your human self, sure. Yeah, it's been harmed. I don't want to dismiss that your human self can be harmed, of course. But this purity, can you join me in spiritually awakening to this depth of being, which is indestructible, undefiable, defiable. However you say that. Beautiful, radiant, absolutely pure. And so when you join me in this purity, in this depth, there's a freedom to it, a freedom beyond fear. When you truly stand awake in your direct experience, the depth of the heart. See that your heart is incorruptible, indestructible, absolutely good. Before you were born, while you were born, throughout your life, and in this moment, and into the future, what you are is so utterly good. So utterly good. So can you join me in falling in love with this purity that you are, this goodness that you are, this innate divinity? You falling in love with you. Will you do that? Can you do this? For in this space, it is easy to let go of fear. It's easy to let go of anger. It's easy to let go of heartache. But when we identify as the human, the one who's been beat up by life, very hard to let go, very hard. And so in this deep space of purity, are you willing to let go of any and all arrogance? Any and all pride? Any and all arrogance and any and all pride? Can you be with me fully in this moment? Sometimes we click around and we're scrolling, chasing. That's actually a way the mind has arrogance and pride. It thinks it knows better than this moment, thinks it knows better than God. It's just going to find something better. So can you join me in being here now fully? And allowing your heart to expand, to spread out, and even visualize your heart spreading out on the horizontal plane. Expanding beyond your chest, beyond your ribs, expanding out. Three feet and 6 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet. You're just filling up the entirety of your room. This great purity. I want you just to feel that for a moment, like a 15-foot expansion all around you. Your heart expanding 15 feet in the front, 15 feet behind you, 15 feet to the right, 15 feet to the left, 15 feet above you, 15 feet below you. And as you're doing this, you might even get a little disoriented as your heart expands in a big way. I invite you to just take some deep breaths and get comfortable being big, get comfortable being bright, get comfortable being so utterly radiant and beautiful. And I invite you to take a deep breath and just imagine your heart expanding 30 feet in the front, 30 feet behind, 30 feet to the right, 30 feet to the left. That's 10 meters, I believe, tell you Europeans. 30 feet above you, 30 feet below you. Let yourself be big, vibrant, beautiful, radiant, shining this light, this blessing to the world. And instead of being egoically arrogant, egoically prideful? Can you be humbly truthful about how huge your heart is, how immense your love is, how pure your presence is? And so you can keep breathing there, just shining your light into the world. And if there's any part of you that's struggling with heaviness, let your light shine first upon the part of you that's struggling. There'll be plenty left over to share with your neighbors. With each breath, breathing in and breathing out, just holding you, loving you, taking care of all the little parts that are still fighting or struggling, being with you fully. And if you want to open your eyes, you can, but yeah, you don't have to. So often on the spiritual path, we ask, what will I get if I do this practice, if I go on this retreat, if I show up, to a session or a healing? What will I get? It's a normal question, a human question. What will I get? What's in it for me? But the spiritual path is really about you surrendering all the things that you carry around that cover up you. This spiritual path is really about shedding weight. Shedding weight. We shed the weight of arrogance, shed the weight of pride, shed the weight of anger, shed the weight of fear. Because these things, they are so utterly heavy on our consciousness. So utterly heavy. And so can we surrender these things? Can we give them up? Can we give them over to God? Can we allow ourselves to be empty? Empty and free. Empty and free. I want to tell a story. A friend of mine, a good friend, one of my best friends, he's a builder. And when you're building, if you've ever been on a job site, there's a lot of cords. There's a lot of power cords, because you need to have, you might have 3 or 4 saws plugged in. You might have some lights plugged in. You might have a air compressor plugged in. If you have an air compressor, you're going to have some air hoses going to your nail guns. And when you start walking around on a job site, you're often like going up and down ladders, and you have all these cords and air hoses, and it's really easy to get tangled up in all of that. Like you're always like tripping over stuff, tripping over boards, and tripping over like whatever the materials are. Like you might have bags of concrete or mortar or stacks of tile or shingles or stacks of lumber. Like you're always kind of like moving things around and stacking it, and you have all these cords that are attached to, often attached to your body because you're working some kind of tool. And but my friend told me this I thought it was hilarious. Both of us thought it was hilarious. He had this dream, and he was like kind of like walking around on a job site, and he started to get tangled up in his cords. They started to become like wrapped and wrapped around him. And often when you're building something, there's a lot of stress. It's heavy. The work is heavy, and it normally takes twice as long and costs twice as much. As it takes twice as long to build the thing you're wanting to build, and it tends to cost twice as much. That's just like an old contracting rule. A lot of people think contractors are trying to rip them off, but it's just, you always think you can get it done quicker than you can. And, it's just, it always just takes more materials and this and that. Like right now, I'm building a shed right now in the backyard, and supposed to be a shed. It's starting to look more like a barn. I had to stop myself from building a barn because I was getting a little carried away. But so I'm right in the midst of it. But my wife, she was out there helping me, and she said, we went to Home Depot at the end of the day, and she said, "Boy, this really is hard work. How do people do this all the time?" And I said, "Well, normally alcohol plays a part." It's like, because you're working so hard, and it's so hard on the body, like people self-medicate with drinking. It's just a real common thing in the trades. But anyways, it's just hard on the body. It's stressful, especially if you're working for someone else, if you have a boss, if you're working for a client, building for someone else. There's a deadline. They keep asking, why does it cost so much money? And so this is life. Like in life, we take on all this weight. We take on all this stress. And basically what stress does is it veils our heart. So we have this heart right now. We're expanded out, say 30 feet in all directions. And me, I'm going to expand out a couple thousand miles just for fun, because I like being really big. I might expand out, to include the whole earth. But when we have this big, you can join me in that, but when we have this big, beautiful heart, and we forget about our heart, and instead we pay attention to something in our mind, like an assumption, a thought, a deadline, and we give our power away to this deadline. We give our consciousness away to a thought like the neighbor, should always be nice to me, shouldn't be mean to me. My neighbor should always love me and treat me with the highest respect. Now that's a beautiful thought, beautiful idea, but we can't control the neighbor. We don't know how they're going to act. Our neighbors may come after us. They may hate us. They may really not like us. They may think we're wrong or bad or whatever. And as soon as we step out of reality, the reality of that our heart is big and pure and loving, and we step into a different reality. The neighbor should be different. If it's me building, I should be working faster. The project should be quicker. It shouldn't be so hot and dry. It's very hot and dry where I was at today. Maybe not so hot, but it felt hot because I was out in the sun. The desert sun has a way. I think it's maybe 50 today, maybe 60, but it felt like it was like 110. The sun's so dry, but the desert's so dry. So we have these thoughts, and as we give our consciousness away to these thoughts, we lose contact with the direct experience of our heart. We lose contact with our power, our freedom. the quiet radiance of our being. We give our power away. And so we have to really look at our job, whatever it is that we do in our work week, and we say, am I willing to ignore my heart for this thing that I'm doing? Whatever the job is. Am I willing to ignore my heart every day? And instead, chase money or be so serious about what my boss is thinking about me, be so like tripping over that. So concerned is the word I'm looking for. I'm concerned about my shipments or my payments or whatever it is people do. Let's get confused about what people do in life. I'm in the business of spirituality. When we are in a different type of business, that's confusing to me. All of us on the spiritual path, our business must be attending to our divinity first and foremost. Attending to our divinity first and foremost. Attending to our healing first and foremost. Attending to spiritual awakening first and foremost. If we choose anything other than this in life to attend to first, we're going to suffer. We're going to be in pain to some degree, to a greater or lesser degree. And I want you all just to take a moment to hear that. If we spend the majority of our time attending to something else besides our own divinity, the divinity of this life, this world, we will suffer and suffer greatly. But this doesn't mean that, you can't have a normal job. Like I knew a lady who was, she was a realtor in Southern California, really good realtor, she told me. And she saw it as her heart's mission to connect people with their perfect home. And she did it from a place of divinity. Now, the perfect home didn't mean a mansion for every person, but like she really saw this as her spiritual work is to connect someone with a home. If we sold cars, it could be connecting someone with the right car. I've done this before where whenever I sell one of my old cars, I spend so much money fixing the car for the person I'm selling it to. I normally lose money, but I want to make sure that they're getting a car that works good. So we can do anything, whether we work in a preschool or sell flowers or work in a garden. If we work in a garden, it's another way of worshiping God. If we work in a preschool, another way of worshiping God. If we work in a high school, we can worship God through helping teenagers develop in higher realms of consciousness. And so whatever it is that we do, can we do it from a place of love? And so on the spiritual path, one of the greatest questions is what is it that's in my way? What is it that I need to surrender? What is it that I need to surrender? And I can't tell you when I used to build, I guess when I build today, but one of the most helpful things when I was on the job is for me just to be in the here and now, showing up, doing my best without any thought of time, without any thought of deadline, without any thought of what the people I'm working for are thinking about me. If we want to be free, can we simply show up and work? Work from a space of love, a space of truth, a space of freedom. And Jesus, he was a carpenter. I imagine when he worked, he built in the timeless, eternal now. I imagine he was not sweating about deadlines, lost in some world of his own mental creation, but he stayed in the here and now. And I think that was easier in the olden days because people didn't have watches, they didn't have, they weren't always looking at the clock. I think time was much more loose in the past, much more etheric, much more spacious. And so on the spiritual path, a great question is, what's here that I want to surrender, that I need to surrender, that I'm ready to surrender? And sometimes when we're just walking around with a big, heavy backpack full of resentment, big, heavy backpack full of fear, or anger, or hatred, or jealousy, or envy, or whatever it is. Sometimes it's just a big backpack full of distraction. We're not even sure why we're distracting ourselves. And sometimes it's just a shallow addiction to dopamine hits from social media. Can we surrender that and see the hugeness of the sky, the beauty of the trees, the birds? I was with my little girl yesterday. We went on a walk, and where were we? Oh yeah, we were just walking around the hot springs, and my daughter said, "Look, Mommy, a bumblebee." She got excited because she saw the beauty of a bumblebee. Like, how many of us we don't see that? Now hold on, I got someone coming to my door here. And so, just how beautiful is that? To get excited, to be awake, to see a bumblebee. See a bumblebee. So anyways, see here. I have a question that came in through Satsang. If anyone else has a question, you can raise your hand. You can put it in the chat. Let's see here if I can pull this thing up. Hi, Craig. I'm doing my best to try to follow spiritual guidance and to be in the flow instead of allowing my ego to push myself into action. Problem is that I have difficulty recognizing divine guidance. And I have difficulty recognizing my own inner knowing. I feel lost and stuck. I sense that I am being guided to stop and rest so that I can be inspired toward my next major life change. How do I learn to recognize my inner guidance and to avoid feeling lost without direction and purpose? Thanks. And best regards. Okay. It's important on the spiritual path to look at what it is that you normally trip over. And so I'm inviting everyone to look from a big perspective, a broad perspective, thematically. Some people struggle with anger as a theme. Some people struggle with feeling abandoned. And so like everything in life has to do with abandonment. Like they're always just seeing abandonment everywhere. Everyone's always abandoning them from their, egoic projected experience. In reality, no one's abandoning them. It's like no one's abandoning them. They're just seeing it everywhere. Somehow they find a way, to be abandoned. Like some people get real hung up in their worldview. And so with this question, I know Tracy and Tracy's told me often that she struggles with her mind and trying to discern the truth. So the theme here is one of doubt and in a positive light, the theme of discernment. How do I discern what the truth is? So she writes, I sense that I am being guided to stop and rest so that I can be inspired toward my next life change. And so Tracy, I'd invite you, like if you have a sense that you are being guided to stop and rest, I invite you to feel into that and to see if there's a quiet power there. So the truth, whenever the truth arises within us, comes with a quiet power. Like when I read this, it seems like that's the truth. I sense that I'm being guided to stop and rest. That's what the truth sounds like. The truth is very simple and very basic. They'll tell you, stop and rest. But then the mind will probably come forward and say, no, you should keep going. You should do this. You should do that. And then, maybe you're on YouTube and you see a commercial for, some, I'm going to use this word, Yahoo, who's 26 years old. And he's telling you he makes $26 million a year at his Amazon drop shipment store, whatever the heck that is. He's like, if you just sign up for my get rich quick series for $1,000, you can be rich like me, And so sometimes we get other people's ideas in our heads, or sometimes we doubt our own truth. So I'm going to encourage you, Tracy, just to sit with this, to sit and feel this guidance that you got. I sense I'm being guided to stop and rest. What if you just did that? What if you trusted in your sense? What if you sat and waited and had faith, like you said, for inspiration to come? Can we allow our life to be this simple, this basic, and not give in to doubt? Doubt arises out of fear. It arises out of fear. And so, Tracy, can you get to know yourself? Listen to yourself. Listen to your truth. Have faith in your truth. And for many of us, this takes discipline. Now, I can remember at a time in my life when God kept telling me the truth. But my ego did not like the truth. The truth that God was telling me was to leave a relationship, and I didn't want to hurt anybody. So I kept staying in the relationship. And then we hurt each other for another 5 years or something crazy. For another 5 years. because I was trying to do good from a place of ego instead of listening to the quiet truth of God. Now, when we listen to the quiet truth of God, it creates an efficiency in our life. And it creates an efficiency in those around us. The people who have to deal with us. It is radically healing when we listen to the truth. So the thing I will remind everyone, when the truth presents itself, it will come with a quiet power. And all day long, I meet with people, and it's very interesting. People tell me the truth. And then they spend the rest of the session telling me how they doubt the truth. I say, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Let's just listen to the truth. Let us just listen to the truth. What if we just listened to the truth and did not doubt, did not fear? Sometimes people play kind of funny games with me. We spend the whole session getting to a place where we finally get to the truth. And I say, okay, like, namaste, we're getting ready to end. And then right at the end, they pick up the initial doubt in the beginning. I said, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I don't want you to waste your money with me. I want you to stay in the truth, because then if you pick up the doubt again, we have to meet again, or you have to meet with someone else or whatever. Like, let's be efficient. Let's be efficient. Now, I can say this, that, a long time ago, like, I did something similar. I created a healing arts center, and this is when I was still building. And I'd come in from building, and I'd get on someone's table, get a massage. They'd loosen me up, help me feel really relaxed. And let's say I did this at on my lunch break, okay? And I say, okay, Craig, I want you to take the rest of the day off. I want you just to relax and just take things real slow. And then as soon as, I was done with the body work and I paid them, I just run back to the job site. I'd be stressed out. And this is back with when we had those flip phones, I'd be calling all the guys, making sure the stuff was getting done. They'd be calling me. I'd be running here, running there, picking up heavy bags of concrete. And it's just like, it's no good to get on a massage table and then run back to work. And I can remember I caught myself rushing to go to yoga class. And then rushing, after the yoga class to get back home. It's like, let the healing settle in. Let it become a new lifestyle for you. Let the truth take root within you. Take root. Let the truth take over your life. But so many of us, we don't allow for this. We take little sips of the truth, and then we take big gulps, from the fountain of ego, from the fountain of stress, from the fountain of fear. And if we continue to live in this way, nothing will change. Nothing will change. And so I'm going to ask you again, what is it that you need to let go of? What is it that you need to let go of? And can you take a deep breath and see yourself releasing this thing. Releasing this thing. So, I think that's good. I think that's good. So why don't we do this? I'm just going to say one more thing about the retreat. If anyone needs a scholarship, please just reach out to me. Email me. You can email me through the website, and you can just pay a donation for the amount you can afford for the retreat. And so if that's you, it'll be my gift to you. In the meantime, I invite you all to go out and to share your heart, to share your beauty with everyone and everything you meet. Everyone and everything you meet. So much love to each of you. Good night, everyone. Good night. See you soon.